disaster coming at ya, at ya. Tell you what's master coming at ya, coming at ya. Rhyme style disaster coming at ya, at ya.
Hey guys, my name is Nigel Ashford and welcome to another episode of Outspoken. I'm so excited. I'm always excited for each episode, and each episode is different and unique in its own way, but I'm loving this episode because it's our first Mother's Day episode. It's called The New Faces of Motherhood. We have 4 different moms who in some way is involved in the LGBTQ community, and I'm going to let them tell them who they are in their stories when they come here. But the reason why I wanted to create this episode and call it The New Faces of Motherhood, because for years, we've always seen this image of what a mother is supposed to look like. The mom from the 1960s and 70s in the long dress and the perfect hair who's able to take care of the home and the kids. But now in today's society, that image has changed. There are different types of subcategories of what the mom looks like and what a true mom is. And we also are learning that it's not the outside appearance of the mom, but it's her actions as well. So joining me are these 4 amazing moms, mothers, awesome individuals. 2 of them we had on our show before and they're back. But another 2, they are new to our show. So guys, let's welcome them and make them feel the love here in Outspoken like we always do. Here are our 4 mothers.
When I'm walking down the street, people are looking at me. What they see is a masterpiece created by the King. I am different by design, and I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I may not look like you and you me, but that's the way it's supposed to be.
Hey guys, welcome. How are you?
Hello.
Hello.
So these are our guests, aka moms, aka the R gang. We have Raquel T, Raquel M, Rochelle, and Reshonda. Did I get that all right?
Yes.
Yes. Again, guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for, like I always tell all my guests, thank you for just allowing this platform to be this space for you to be honest and tell your truth and to talk about your life, especially on this monumental holiday that is coming up, Mother's Day. So again, happy early Mother's Day to all 4 of you. You guys
Thank you.
So just to get started, if y'all want to introduce yourself, Raquel M, you can start first, and then Raquel T, and then Reshonda, and then we'll keep going after that. Okay, cool. Raquel.
Hi, I'm Raquel Martinez. I'm a Latina, polyamorous queer woman, and I'm a mama to one amazingly adorable 5-year-old Lucas.
Awesome. Raquel T.
Hey everybody, I'm Raquel Trammell, and I am a trans woman, a Black trans woman, and I am the mother of a 5-year-old daughter named Aspen.
Reshonda.
Okay. Hi, I am a straight female, but I am the mother of a son who came out as gay in middle school, and I love him so much. He's 17 years old, soon to be 18.
Awesome. And Rochelle.
Hi, I'm Rochelle Burrow. I am a lesbian mom of 2, a 19-year-old and who's about to be 20. And my daughter is 14, about to turn 15.
Awesome, guys.
I feel so bad. I have 2 more kids, by the way. I just spoke after you said that. I was like, oh man, I have 2 more kids. I have a 23-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son. I feel so bad.
Like all the rest of them, we're doing them all.
It's okay. It's that mom brain.
It's like, wait, I forgot something.
Reshonda, it's been a long day.
It has.
Y'all, we should have got Rashonda a drink, y'all. We should have got him a drink.
I might have remembered I had 3 kids instead of 1. Thank you.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, guys. So out of all 4 of you, who's married and who's single at the moment?
I'm separated at the moment.
Separated.
I'm in a partnership with 2 people.
Okay. Raquel T.
I'm sorry, I'm very much so single. I was, so anybody out there that's looking for a wholesome woman, I'm here.
Rochelle. Are you single or are you married? Are you in a relationship?
Okay, so I didn't hear the question.
Oh no, she'll be
See,
back.
it was that question. She ain't gonna answer it.
that was the segue. I thought we. Okay, Raquel, M. We're gonna start with you with that question. So oh wait, she's coming back. Awesome. So we were saying that you popped off because you didn't want to answer the question. So I was asking.
Talking about how we didn't want to answer those questions, we were gonna disappear. I didn't mean.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. What was the question?
So the question was, are you single or are you married? Are you in a relationship at the moment?
I'm married. I've been married going on 4 years in August.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Yes, won't he do it?
So I want to talk to Raquel M, and then I'm going to come back to you, Rochelle. Raquel
Yes.
M. So you are in a polyamorous relationship, correct?
Yes.
Now people say that. Is some people think it's different, but I think after being on the show and seeing how you guys communicate and seeing how you guys work and flow as one, I thought it was so cool. And I just want to say, how does that work? One thing we do know is that your partners, Katie and Lewis, they're biologically
Yes.
their child's parent. How do you fit in as being that second mother within that relationship?
So I was in the picture very much before Lucas was born. And when we found out that Katie was pregnant with Lucas, I think it really forced the 3 of us to just come together and really think about if this was something we wanted to do for the long haul. Because if it was, then that meant that I would be in partnership with Katie and Lewis in the parenting journey of this kid. Because I knew that I wanted to be his mother. I knew that I wanted him to see me as his mother. I wanted him to grow up with me as his mother. And Katie and Lewis were very much on board with that. And so, motherhood did not happen for me very, the way that it would for someone else. It kind of just fell on my lap. And I think it forced the 3 of us to just really learn to communicate with each other, even more so, because now we're raising this little kid, and the 3 of us, we each have our own things to deal with, right? We each have our ways of being, our ways of parenting. And so it's very much us finding a balance with each other and, a quiet call out like, hey, I noticed you did this, maybe there's a better way of doing it. So why don't we regroup? It's never calling someone out or trying not to call someone out in front of our kid, rather, having that conversation in the background with just us 3. So I think it's because we have Lucas's best interest at heart. It, at the core of that, we know that we have to communicate anything and everything, including things that go on internally with ourselves. you know, because I think certain parts of our journey, of our personal inner work journey can manifest in the way that we react, you know, to our kid. And so just being self-aware and being aware of each other, you know, and seeing what it is that we need, and communicating that to each other, I think is what really is a driving force with our parenting.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Raquel.
That's so cool.
It is really cool. Rochelle, are you there?
I can hear you.
Okay, awesome.
I
So
can hear you.
you've been married for 4 years now, right? And but before your marriage, you do have, what is it, 2 kids or 1 kid?
Two.
Two. Were you married to a male before then, or were
I was.
yes? And how many years were you married to a male?
Let's see. So maybe a year and a half. Maybe like a year and a half. I was married to my daughter's father for about a year and a half, and then which that was his own experience, right? Because I had my son, who at that time was 5. So I got married, supposedly doing the right thing. Was not ready to be like embrace who I was. And so had my son, we were married, and then I met my first had my first lesbian relationship in the middle of that. But right after I had my daughter, and so then that was when so my daughter, believe it or not, who is like 14, doesn't know me with a man. So that was its own experience, right? So mothering has definitely been very hard for me. Just because, with that being said, like with my daughter, I was going through a divorce. That was an ugly situation. Had my first lesbian relationship, so kind of lost custody of my daughter, and so I've definitely had a journey in like trying to balance this thing called motherhood. And like I'm 39, about to be 40 this year, woo woo. So I was like 25, right? And so this journey, that what mother used to look like back then to what it looks like today, is completely different. And unfortunately, but fortunately, like my kids have had to go through that journey with me. And I was young, right? So like I had my son at 19. So I'm trying to grow up too, trying to figure out who I am, get married, because that was the Christian thing to do. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. So,
Right,
right? You get married to a
right.
man, you have children, you have a house, a picket fence, and a career. Like that's what you do. Um,
And
but
Rochelle, going off of what you just said, a lot of women, especially women in the South, are is embedded in their minds, in their brains. You have to find a husband, and that's actually
mm-hmm.
the most important thing, more than your career, is
Then
trying
your
to
career.
find a husband, have a man to take care
Mm-hmm.
of you. Da, 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 da. And this is speaking from a man from the South, because I mean, just listening to my grandparents and great grandparents, they cared more about that than our females'
Right.
education. So, how did it
Right.
feel bearing that piece of you, that part of you, of you are a lesbian, but you had a family, you had a kid, you were, like you said, doing the right thing? Because a lot of women have to bury that thing within them. Everyone, when they think of LGBTQ, for some reason,
Mm-hmm.
people automatically think of men, and they think of the gay man, but the
Mm-hmm.
woman has it hard. Sometimes I think it's harder,
It is.
because it is. So how
It
did it
is.
feel having to bury that piece of you for that years, and making that sacrifice of putting your family first, because you thought that if you would have been all of you, it would have brought some type of chaos within your family?
So that's funny that you say that, right? Because that was my journey, right? Like it
Mm,
was truly, who do you choose? Do you choose yourself? Do you choose your family? You know, I've been told that I was being selfish for coming out, right? I've been told that, especially, I fought a custody battle with my daughter from the age of like she was 1 into 9, right? And that was the hardest thing in my life of me thinking, I am I selfish? Maybe I am the selfish person out here. What are you doing? I didn't have the support of my family, like my backbone family at that time too. And, these are things that you're going through, trauma that we're experiencing as women, right? Second guessing myself. Am I a good mother? Counseling. Thank you, God, for therapy.
Yes.
Just seriously, like seriously, and like you said, in the South, people think it's hard for men, but women are told that you're supposed to do and look and be a certain way, right? You're told to speak a certain way. These are what you're supposed to do. So as me, as a young Black woman at the time, just said, I'm gonna choose me. I'm gonna choose what makes me happy, because I remember waking up in a marriage, and this has nothing to do with my daughter's father, everything to do with me. I'm unhappy. I'm gonna go through the rest of my life feeling like this, empty inside. I can't do that. What am I teaching my children? What am I teaching my, people, that other women that come after me? Like, what am I teaching them? Right. So it was a situation where I wasn't prepared to fight. I 100% tell you, but God definitely sustained me through this fight of being who I am today as an open Black lesbian mother. You know what I'm saying? And so my kids through the things that definitely all of these things in the fight. It just say I want to be true to myself, right?
Right.
And not to be looked at as selfish. But I think, in the community, are not even taught to choose yourself first.
Yeah.
Choose what makes you happy. We are choose to put everyone above us. But how do you
Yeah.
do that when you empty? You know what I'm
Mm.
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so it's no way that you can put somebody before you when you don't even have a clue who you are.
Yeah.
And then dealing with the trauma that we've already dealt with, it's just a lot. It's
It
a lot.
is.
But one thing I can say is that the peace and the love that I have for myself,
Mm.
and the struggles, through the trial and tribulations, I've lost so much. I've lost, I've lost my family, gained them back, lost them again, gained them back, lost myself, I've lost so much. But to be at a place, even this last year journey, just to discover who I am, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And that's all part of being a woman,
Yeah.
because we are told from day one to sacrifice ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh,
Sacrifice ourselves.
thank you for
And
that.
you can't
Yeah.
sacrifice yourself and then want to give too.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry.
Thank you for that, Rochelle. Raquel T. How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So Raquel, and it's funny because I found both Raquels kind of on the same way. So you
Okay.
through a show. So,
Okay.
Raquel T, you were on the show My Trans Life with your previous partner, Liam, and you guys were talking about how you had to put your transformation on hold you're transitioning on hold due to having baby Aspen. You wanted to
Hmm.
bring your baby into this world. And I thought your story was so beautiful. And
Thank
I
you.
was just want to say thank you for coming on and just talking. But Raquel T, I just want to know how how has it been as a trans woman of color, uh, co-parenting mother, working more than one job while also facing the world that is not kind to trans women of color for so long. Even if we look at it now, the highest group within our LGBTQ community that's dying and being killed are trans women of color.
Mhm.
So you have so many things working against you within our society. How are you coping, surviving, and being the best mother that you can be?
Okay, so that's a lot to unpack, but what I will say, what I will say is right. Everything you said is totally right. Um, the reality is that I have the privilege with being a social justice advocate that I advocate for myself, but that's not the reality of a lot of women in my community. And I also know I've been afforded a privilege of being a mother that most trans women don't get. They don't tell us in the beginning of, like reproductive justice for trans women that it don't look like us. They never say, well, freeze your sperm, or do you want kids down the line. The one thing we're also set on is really transitioning to be the person who we feel comfortable identifying as. And so, like, I can only, if you would have asked me 10 years ago that you were going to have this beautiful, amazing daughter, I wouldn't have believed you. What I will say is that it's just beautiful to know that, like, even though the odds were stacked against me when I think about, like, my identity, being a mom, that's when it clicked of, like, what my purpose on this earth was. Like, I'll speak for myself. I didn't want to be necessarily a trans woman because in society, everything is formed against you. Everything with a trans woman is formed negatively. So, what I will say is that, like, when I thought about at that time starting a family and trying to do everything right, being in love, I was engaged to be married. I wanted to do the two-parent thing and this dream that we fantasize about, but the reality was that wasn't going to be my story. As much as I'm a trans mother, now I'm a single mother. And then it's also being a trans woman going through a custody battle and knowing that, like, the justice system don't recognize you as your child's biological mother. And so it's all these different layers that's going through that. And now we're in a custody battle for like 2 years, and it's a hard reality. The beauty in it all is that I had to really realize that trans women have resilience, right? Like, we push through every day with transphobia, people telling us we don't exist. Now we have these anti-trans bills going in legislated for our youth. We have murder and, like, a life expectancy rate that is really horrible. And what most people don't understand is that, like, even though this custody battle is something that's been long and overdue, the reality is you add COVID into that, right? So that's a whole different layer. The internal trauma that you have with being a Black person, with the Black Lives Matter movement, or just being a trans woman. I think sometimes if it wasn't for therapy,
therapy,
yeah,
get us through
Yep.
NY.
I don't think I would be able to get through it, right? Like, without therapy and praying, I wouldn't be able to get through it. But it's also developing this bubble, right? Like, as a trans woman, I know that the world does not see me or love me in the regard that I wanted to. So when I knew that she was being born, I tried to do everything in my power to protect her. But I never thought that I had to protect her against the person I produced her with. So, yeah.
Oh wow! Now, Raquel T, when signing up for daycares, when doing the normal things that parents do for their children, have you received any type of pushback from teachers, from other parents feeling uncomfortable, or anything of that nature?
I think the beauty is that, like, sometimes the sad part is with transness, passability can either hinder you or it could be a privilege. And I just have had the privilege throughout this process of being able to use my passability to navigate through those things. And I need people to understand that documentation for trans people is very important. So if my ID did not say female and my name did not say Raquel on all my legal documents, there would have been a different conversation I would have had to have with my daughter's school or with her doctor. So I think, and also that whole thing with me and her father showing up. So automatically society sees, well, oh, this is a young Black couple that's engaged to be married. But really, like, I need people to understand that that's why it's important for trans people to have representation in the way that they need to, because I can imagine going to my child's school and have to explain, even before I had the conversation with her about my identity in front of a complete stranger. And then what does that say for how people treat your child on the biases of what they think about you, right? So transphobia does not stop because you're in the school. It does not stop because you're in a courtroom. So that's been a thing, but I've been very big on speaking up for myself. And I advise every woman that, like, if you feel like you're not treated in the way that you deserve in any realm, definitely speak up.
Amen to that.
Man.
All right, Rashonda, how are you? Welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Rashonda, when I was thinking about your questions, I don't know why it popped in my head, but I thought about the show This Is Us because it had 3 kids. And I was watching one episode when I don't know if you guys seen it. It's these 3 kids. You know, one of the kids is African American, the other one, and he's adopted, and the other ones are white. And the white kid asks the mom, like, why do you love the African American kid more? And she said, you know, it's not that I love him more, it's I love him differently.
Yeah.
He has to receive love in a specific type of way.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as a mother of 3, Rashonda, do you have to love, because we talked about this before, about your son being harassed at the pool because they thought, you know, your son is very beautiful and they thought he was a female.
Yeah.
And things of that nature. Do you have to love your LGBTQ child in a specific way? And what type of love do they go? He's go by they, correct?
That I can't hear you.
Your son, does he go by a he or a they?
Really, honestly and truthfully, he told me the other day that I don't remember the word for it, but he doesn't identify with either. It's like he just wants the freedom to just be, and there's a word for it, but I can't think of what that is right now.
Is it a
non-conforming?
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah. Okay. What type of love, specific love, do you have to provide for your child that you thought as a mother you never knew you had to find that type of emotion or that type of action or that type of thing for that child?
Well, actually, I mean, I love all my children the same. You know, I may have to have different conversations, you know, but the love is still the same. I treat him no differently because of, you know, how he feels or any of that stuff, the things he wears, or, you know, I don't make a difference between my kids. You know, my love is love for all of them. I do have to have conversations with him the way I have to have conversations with my daughter, you know, about just being safe, being just careful. And the only times that we ever really talk about something specific is if, like, he comes to me with something, and we're very close, so we talk about a lot of different things. But as far as, you know, loving him any differently, I really don't feel that I love him differently. I feel that I love him the same. He's no different from my other 2 kids to me in my eyes. And so, like I said, when we have our talks, like back when he was in middle school was when he came out, and he got picked on by the other kids, and then he would come home crying, and then I'd have to go up to the school and be Mama Bear. But, you know, I just sat him down and just talked to him, and I was telling him, you know, nothing is wrong with you at all. Other people, you know, everybody has something, is how I put it to him. You know, everybody has something. And, it's not up to you to make these other people, understand anything. You be yourself at all times.
Yeah.
you know. Um, and it helped him out a lot. I mean, he went through some stuff in middle school, but as he got older and then he got into high school, the getting picked on it went completely different after that. He started gaining more friends, and because he would go to school and he would, dress very differently from the other kids, but it brought him attention, and it wasn't negative attention. He actually became very popular. And I know that's not the case with everybody, but he actually became very popular after that. And kids admired that he was just himself, like no matter what, he was going to be him. And so, but yeah, I know that's kind of strayed away from what you asked me, but I love all my kids no matter what. It's an unconditional love you have as a mom, for your children. And like I said, I have to talk to him about sex the same way I have to talk to my daughter, the same way I'll, soon have to talk to my youngest son. It's all the same. You have to be protected. You have to be safe. They get the same conversation. So I don't make a difference, between my kids. I don't treat him, differently from my other kids because I just love them, all equally.
Hey, Rashonda, how, as a parent, I feel like, same with my mom, and I think her thing was when I came out as gay, she had expectations, things that she knew. You're going to get married, you're going to find a wife, you're going to have a kid. As a man, these things are going to happen. But when we find out that our children's expectations, they don't meet our own, how as a parent do you adapt to expectations versus reality?
Well, honestly, I just want my son to be happy with whoever he decides to be with, whether that's a man, whether later it might be a woman. It doesn't matter. I just want him to be happy, and I want him to treat the person that he's with, right. And I want that person to treat him right. I didn't have any expectations. I guess I'm just different. I didn't have any expectations. I saw at an early age, I saw him gravitate more towards feminine clothing. So I knew when he was younger, and I didn't stop him from that, because I felt like he knew, what he was comfortable with. And, that it wasn't a big thing to me because my growing up, and I had to deal with a lot of things in my family that had nothing to do with my, sexuality or anything. We all go through stuff, but I just knew that I wanted to be a different mom than, what I had. Unfortunately, my mom wasn't there for me, like that. My grandmother was. Right. But, I took the things that I was taught from not having my parents, actually my mom and my dad, not having them, and just said I was going to be a better parent for mine. And so I didn't have these expectations. I just wanted my children to be happy,
And that's Beautiful. All we can ask for, happy and healthy.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, we'll be right back after this commercial break. We have the R gang here. And Raquel, Rashonda, and Rochelle. And it does sound like a whole group.
It's a tongue twister, okay?
Yeah, we're going to get this started. We'll be right back after these messages. Stay here. Don't go anywhere.
It's time to step up, prep up.
Step up, prep up.
To help keep you free from the risk of HIV.
From the makers of Truvada, there's another PrEP option, Descovy for PrEP, a once-daily prescription medicine that helps lower the chances of getting HIV through sex. It's not for everyone. Descovy for PrEP has not been studied in people assigned female at birth. Talk to your doctor to find out if it's right for you.
Step up for health and body.
Prep up for your one and only love, or many loves. For kings, this queen, and you royals in between. For my now.
Our now.
And my future.
Our future.
Step up, prep up.
Descovy is another way to prep. Descovy does not prevent other sexually transmitted infections, so it's important to use safer sex practices and get tested regularly. You must be HIV negative to take Descovy for PrEP, so you need to get tested for HIV immediately before and at least every 3 months while taking it. If you think you were exposed to HIV or have flu-like symptoms, tell your doctor right away. They may check to confirm you are still HIV negative. Serious side effects can occur, including kidney problems and kidney failure. Rare life-threatening side effects include a buildup of lactic acid and liver problems. The most common side effect was diarrhea. Tell your doctor about all the medicines and supplements you take, or if you have kidney or liver problems, including hepatitis. If you have hepatitis B, do not stop taking Descovy without talking to your doctor. Ask your doctor about your risk of HIV, and if Descovy for PrEP is right for you.
Words are loud, but actions are louder.
Step up,
Prep Up.
With Descovy for PrEP.
Get help paying for Descovy for PrEP. Learn more at stepupprepup.com.
Rhyme style disaster coming at ya.
Welcome back to Outspoken. We are doing the new Faces of Motherhood episode special. Joining us is Raquel, Rishonda, and Rochelle. Yeah, I like how I did that. Now, I want to jump in and ask Raquel T. I'm going to start with you first.
Okay.
What was it like when you found out you were going to be a mother? Because on your show, you were saying you had to put everything when you're transitioning on pause, which in my mind tells me that this wasn't planned if you had to put something on pause.
Okay, so in all transparency, it's really real. So Aspen was planned, but the plan was the way the medication and like just trying to get insurance, right? And like once you finally start your hormones, it's like the best day of your life, right?
Right.
And so like I started to see these changes that I really wanted. And then the thing about it was that we lost a previous pregnancy. So it was one of those realities or one of those harsh conversations of like, do I really want to try again? And so that fear was there where I was like, I really don't think I want to try again. But then it was like, what do you do with all this stuff, right? Like you got all this baby stuff, you're starting to see like, and then it set in that like, oh, I just started a medication that could actually prevent me from having a child. And so that's what made me like stop my hormones and really kind of like see if it happened. And then she was born. And so that for me was like, oh, okay. And then I knew it was going to be a girl. Like I just prophesized my whole little life.
And how did you come up with the name Aspen?
Okay. So I'm addicted to A names for one. But I happened to be in Denver for a conference, and I just remember thinking of all these names, and it only made sense that like Aspen, like an orange truck that said Aspen came right in front of me and blocked me while I was walking, and I was like, that's gonna be her name. And so then I had like called him like, hey, how you think about this name? And he was like, I actually like it. And so I was like, okay, it's different, but not too different, right?
Very pretty.
I love it.
Thank you.
So Raquel, you were already sacrificing for this baby before the baby was even born.
Yeah. And then there was the reality of like, what does it look like to be a trans mom? Like I didn't think about how my story would impact other people. I only wanted to get past having a healthy pregnancy. So then when she was here, it just kind of like clicked and it worked. And it was a part of me that could never go back to like not being nurturing and not like, I don't know, you just set into it. So now I understand how my mom fell into her role because like as women, we're not perfect and we don't have a book that says like, this is how you be a mom. But I think your love for your child just kind of guides you into how to handle them. And then they tell you, they tell you what they need from you.
Rishonda, I wanted to go back to what you said with your comment of it wasn't your mother that raised you, it was your grandmother.
Yeah.
So when you became pregnant, in your mind, did you say, okay, this is the type of mother I want to be? I don't want to be my mom. I don't want to repeat the cycle. I want to be similar to my grandmother, or were you saying I want to become whoever the creator, whoever you want me to be for this child or these children? How was that mindset for you when you became pregnant?
I mean, it was a little bit of everything. I didn't want to be the way my mother was with me and my brother at all. And I wanted to be just like my grandmother. She was like my role model, um, the strongest woman I know, and I'm blessed to still have her. She's 80. She just turned 85 today. And so,
Happy
yeah.
birthday.
But I did want to be just like her because she is who, raised me, knew my teachers at school, baked cakes and cookies for the class. She did all of that stuff. Um, and I wanted to be who, God created, for me to be. I wanted to be like a combination of all of those things. I had and I hate to say that about my mom. She just was not there the way that she needed to be. And I knew that I wanted to be there for my children. I knew that I wanted to be open with my kids and for them to be able to come to me and talk to me about any and everything. And I did not have that, with her. And my grandmother, she's a praying grandmother, so she taught me, how to pray and ask God for, the things that I felt, I needed. And then I did a lot of that as a mom. And I'm still learning. I mean, like I said, my oldest child is 23, but I'm still learning things every day. So, you know, um, as a mother, you will make mistakes and stuff, but I think that having communication with your children is very important, that they know that you're always there for them. So I had it in my mind, how I want it to be, but of course with life you never know how things are going to go. So I'm happy still with the way that I've been able to be there for my children.
Okay, and now Raquel, I want to ask you the same thing. And when you were pregnant, you were with a man at this time. Did you like just put away any idea of ever exploring that side of one day maybe I could, be free to be all of me? Or once you became pregnant, was it this is it? This is my life. I'm meant to marry men. I'm meant to have these kids, and this is my life, and this is set. Or what was going through your mind? Yeah.
Oh, you said Raquel.
Yeah,
No,
you said Raquel.
I thought I said Rochelle. I'm sorry.
I know. I was like, did he get my story?
And I'm like, which one?
Like, she was pregnant. And then I was like, maybe something. Okay. So yeah. That was funny. So yes, I did, right? So, I'm married, I'm pregnant, even though I really wasn't wanting to be pregnant at the time, but God blessed me with being pregnant. And so it was like in my mind, I was just like, suck it up, buttercup. This is gonna be your life, like we just gonna do this thing, we're gonna ride this thing out, suck all them feelings that you thought you had about liking other women, let it go. It ain't a thing. And so that's what I did. Like in my mind, I thought that's what I was gonna do, and that's how it was. And I had never explored, right? I had never explored anything. It was just something that I was always attracted to women. Never had talked about it. That was something internal that I went through. Hello.
Oh, keep going.
Okay. So yeah, like it was just something that I was like, I'm gonna be stuck with. And then life happened, and then I meet somebody, and I was like, oh God, what am I supposed to do? What? Yeah. So yeah, like in my mind, I was just like, okay, I can't do this. This is not what I'm supposed to do. And my struggle more so was like the religion part of it, right? It was more so of like being accepted. Does God still love me? Like it was still that struggle of like, because this was so long ago, like gay just was not a thing back then. But like it was so much of like going through the struggle of acceptance and how God was gonna look at me, right? And so it wasn't even so much, just to be honest, it wasn't even so much of the mothering aspect at that time. It was just so much of like my relationship with God, and this was so forbidden. But it was like the forbiddenness, and then trying to be a mother, and then what are you showing your mom, your kids and stuff like that. And like I said, it was kind of like Raquel said, she's going through a custody thing too, of like, do I really want to go through this? Do I want to put my kids through this? And so it is. It's that mental and that mindset of like, what are you gonna do? Okay, I'm just gonna stay unhappy, right? And that was many nights that I just thought I was just gonna stay unhappy. I was gonna stay in this marriage. I was gonna, because it wasn't like I had a bad marriage. It was just like it was the internal conflict of what and who I was gonna be. And so, yeah, it was more so of, do I show my kids to be their true? And that was really kind of my deciding factor. My deciding factor was, what do I want to teach my kids? And my thing was is to always be yourself, no matter what anybody says, no matter the struggles that you have to go through, always be yourself.
Yeah.
Now, Raquel M., going off of what Rochelle just said, what did you want for your child that you never received as a child yourself? And Rishonda, she kind of touched on that with her grandmother, what her grandmother gave and what she wanted to give to her children similar. And Rochelle said the same thing. But Raquel, what did you want to give him that all three of you would give them, but you never received? And one thing that I would say from interviewing you before, you talked about how it took your mom some time to finally accept things. And now she's coming around and she's treating you guys like your family, and she's mentioning everyone in your family as the family. So what do you want to give to your son?
From my mom is, and in a way I still don't, is just complete full acceptance and validation and visibility from my mom.
Okay.
And my mom is a great mom. I can't take away the good that she did for me, and the part in my life and in my healing journey that she plays for me. My mom's not perfect, but she did her best, and my mom has gone through her trauma that has affected the way that she mothers, the way that she views the world, the way that she views religion, which impacts her way of mothering.
Right.
It all intersects in some way. And I know that my mom was adopted, and with adoption, there comes rejection, that feeling of rejection, right? And I know that that's something that my mom, in a way, it's that pattern that passed down to me. Here my mom has a daughter who is not only with a woman, but also with a man, and then also has another daughter who is gay. So I'm a walking challenge to her faith, to her beliefs, to her paradigms. And, I can't help but see it as, well, God, you have a way of really kind of teaching someone a lesson, right? Like if because I feel like my mom's life journey lesson has a lot to do with rejection and acceptance, right? And here she has two kids where she has the opportunity to accept and see and validate, and she can't. But at the same time, I can't fault her because she never accepted that, and she still hasn't received that from the people that she would love to receive acceptance from, which is her biological family. And so I know that Lucas is that awakening of healing in my soul, of just coming to this realization of generational patterns that need to end with me.
Right.
And realizing that there's that pattern of rejection that I do not want to pass on to my son. You know, and my son, we we already notice him, you know, being, we let Lucas be who he is. You know, he naturally came to this love and fascination with wanting to express himself through painting his nails, and just, you know, learning to be okay with that and know, okay, the world right now is, it might be hard for you because you're already so different. But know that, like, I accept you fully for who you are, no matter what. And so just with realizing, I think Lucas really awakened an awareness to the dark parts of my soul, you know, to the deep parts that just really, really needed cleansing, needed liberation, need healing. And so I think he's just really teaching me a lot, you know. So I want to give Lucas all of the acceptance, the love, the affirmation, the validation that I was never able to fully receive. Like, I want to pass that on to him, you know. And we do. I think, like, we love and celebrate Lucas for who he is, and that's one of the things that we, one of the reasons why we decided to come out. Not only it all ended up happening organically, but we didn't want Lucas being ashamed of his family, you know, and that comes with, you know, just being transparent and confident in my differences and in my uniqueness, and in our family uniqueness and our family diversity. And so, you know, we want him to be proud of who he is, proud of where he comes from. And I know that that comes from the way that we present ourselves to him, the way that we express ourselves about our family to him. So that's something that's really important to me, that I also wish to pass down to him. Just this confidence in who you are, because I think, especially in the Latino culture, it's a lot of shame. Shame, like you hide things under the rug. You don't want them knowing this about you. Don't share anything. Nope, keep that there, and you don't ever talk about it. Just don't bring it up. No one's gonna see it. No one's gonna talk about it, and you keep hush hush. And I saw that in even my family, you know, with even me coming out, my parents didn't want anyone to know. You know, it was very hard for them. And I wanted to break that. I don't want Lucas having any shame. Like, that shame ends here with me, and it does not touch my children, you know? And so the journey to motherhood is so healing, and it's painful. Like, you have the growing pains, like Rochelle, you were going through your journey to reclaiming your authenticity, reclaiming your power to identity, all while, you know, having your growing pains with your children. Raquel T, you too, you know, and Rashonda, you know, you and your child, you know, helping your child reclaim their confidence in their identity, the validation in their identity, you know, and just being secure in who they are. I can't help but see the correlation of motherhood and that healing, you know. So I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant.
No,
That's
so, like,
amazing.
I wanted to say something to Raquel. Like, the way you just explained that in a whole was beautiful. And so what's funny is, like, you just spoke about, like, your mother, right? And understanding of, like, where she had to mother, how she had to mother you, right?
Yeah.
And how, like, that right there is, like, that was part of my journey, still a part of my journey, right? Just like my mother she did the best that she can do, right? She did the best, but also taking yourself out of being like that child, but also putting yourself as an adult, and, like, understanding, like, I had to understand about my mom, like, the trauma that she went through, the things that she had to go through, which shaped her to be who she is today, and giving me the best what she had, right?
Mhm.
And like, so when you said that, it just resonated in my spirit,
Yeah.
which was a confirmation for me too, because like
Mhm.
this is all part of my, like, believe it or not, like 365 days journey healing process too, of just like dealing with my family shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, yep,
How
yep,
it affected me growing up. And
Yeah.
so, like, kind of back to what Rashonda said, is like, she knew she always wanted to parent different. My
yep,
mother was the best. She provided for us. She was there, but I knew I wanted to be something different. You know what
yep,
I'm saying?
yep.
I wanted to be and display mother differently. But I had to realize too, I had to heal from what
Yes.
you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
To now be able to be a better parent.
Yep.
So yeah, you said that. I want to say, girl.
And you know what? In the healing, so like healing one isn't it isn't pretty. It isn't linear. And in that healing, the ugly parts of ourselves come out. And so I find myself, like Rashonda, like you said, it's always important to communicate with your kid. I am constantly apologizing to my kid. Baby, I'm sorry that I reacted this way. I am trying to be a better person. I'm trying to be a better mom. You know, just the other day, like Raquel, like you were saying, they call you out. Literally yesterday, Lucas goes, Mama, you were so angry the other day. You know, if you're always angry, no one's going to want to play with you. And
Yeah, they will tell you that.
Lucas, you know, I appreciate that. I thank you. And anger is a normal emotion, but you're right. I shouldn't have reacted that way. And so I'm sorry. I promise I'm trying to be better. And it's not easy, but I'm trying. And I think we need to normalize that in parenting, just normalizing, talking to our kids about our emotions, apologizing, because that's not something I ever saw. I think if I saw my mother doing that, if I saw my mother apologizing to me for the way that she maybe reacted, I think healing would have maybe initiated
a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. But at the same time, the healing journey began when it had to.
That's
So
right. It was all in perfect timing, and also too, for you to be able to parent your kid and your kids differently. And I love to, like, now we're able to have that conversation. Me growing up, we can have that conversation. I couldn't tell my mom, hey, you hurt my feelings when you yelled at me, or when you whooped me the other day. I couldn't say that was something that we were hushed. And I think too, like, especially in my age group, like, we're in that transition of like trying to find our voice again and be more vocal, versus like, well, my kids, I allow them to be vocal. You know what I'm saying? You can tell me if I hurt your feelings. You can tell me, hey, you know, my daughter don't mind saying, hey, Mom, like, why, you know, they don't mind calling me out, but I'm okay with receiving it, because I know that's respect shown between you and your child. That's respect, you know, because they're humans.
Yep.
All right, guys, we have the R4 here. No? Are we gonna? Okay, no. Okay, I tried to come up with our group name on the fly to see if it stick.
I like R4.
I thought that was our name.
Oh God, we're gonna go to a quick commercial, but we'll be right back. Make sure you stay tuned.
For people living with HIV, keep being you and ask your doctor about Biktarvy. Biktarvy is a complete one-pill, once-a-day treatment used for HIV in certain adults. It's not a cure, but with one small pill, Biktarvy fights HIV to help you get to and stay undetectable. That's when the amount of virus is so low, it cannot be measured by a lab test. Research shows people who take HIV treatment every day and get to and stay undetectable can no longer transmit HIV through sex.
Serious side effects can occur, including kidney problems and kidney failure. Rare, life-threatening side effects include a buildup of lactic acid and liver problems. Do not take Biktarvy if you take dofetilide or rifampin. Tell your doctor about all the medicines and supplements you take if you are pregnant or breastfeeding, or if you have kidney or liver problems, including hepatitis. If you have hepatitis B, do not stop taking Biktarvy without talking to your doctor. Common side effects were diarrhea, nausea, and headache.
If you're living with HIV, keep loving who you are and ask your doctor if Biktarvy is right for you.
Rock style disaster coming at you.
4.
Hey.
And we're just talking about motherhood, especially as it relates not only as being mothers, but mothers within the LGBTQ community and connected to the LGBT community. One thing I really wanted to bring up is that we're still facing a rise of suicides within our LGBTQ community, especially with kids who are teenagers, who are being bullied, with individuals who are even being kicked out of their own homes and trying to survive on the streets as teenagers because they identify as LGBTQ. Rashonda, I would love to start with you on this. How is it when you see other parents who are straight and cisgender treat their kids like strangers once their child tells them who they are and either kick them out or threaten them or cause even their deaths?
I mean, that hurts me. It really hurts my heart. I mean, that tears away at my soul to see stuff like that. My son has had friends that their parents did treat them that way, and I'm not a replacement ever for anybody else's parent, but I let them know that they can always talk to me because I still strongly believe that you need to have at least somebody, that you can talk to, at least one person in your corner. And I have been that for many of my kids' friends. And it's sad, that it has to be that way. I met a young man who told me one year at it was a pride parade that they had here. And he came over and introduced himself to me and my son because that was the first time we had ever been to one. And we just started talking, and he was telling me that his mother disowned him, and he was only in his early 20s, but his mother had disowned him. And he had went on Mother's Day to give her a card, and she barely opened the door for him, asked him if he was still gay. And he said he was, and he said that she closed the door on him and told him to come back when he wasn't.
Oh, wow.
And that hurt my heart so bad. And he started crying, and I just talked to him and I told him that same thing I tell my son, it's not your fault, what the world around you, things. That doesn't define who you are at all. It's just, I told him it's your mom's loss, and that's truly how I feel. I mean, I can't even imagine disowning my child. That's something that I have a hard time understanding how any parent could even do for any reason. But it breaks my heart to meet kids that their parents aren't accepting of them. And these are like beautiful children inside and out. And I just can't imagine their parents missing out on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Raquel T, a lot of those kids who are getting abandoned are transgender individuals. A lot of them are trans people of color. We had a show recently, and the woman really talked about how a lot of them are high school students who are now resulting to prostitution because they don't have a safe place to go. And they're starting at 16 and 17 only because that's really, they can't even get jobs at McDonald's or Burger King because they are transgender and who they look like doesn't match their licenses or anything. How, as a mother, when you see things of that nature of teens walking out on the street, especially those trans teens?
It's really disheartening, and I see it from both angles. One, oftentimes, like doing research, we find out that like 41% of non-binary youth have attempted suicide within this year. But I also know the reality as most trans women of color, survival sex work is a reality. Like until you can either find stable housing, until you can get your documentation, or it's just simply as far as eating for the day. Like it's basic necessities. And like the reality is that as much as society don't want to recognize us as women, we are the same women that are overly sexualized and being put in a position to have to do sex work to survive. Um, I want people to really recognize that, like, with the youth, it is, as much as I feel like I'm oppressed as a trans woman, as a trans woman, I need the youth to know that, like, there are people out here fighting for them and really, like, looking to validate and see them, and that happens within the school systems. We need our teachers to step up a little bit more and be more responsible when they know that they have an LGBT youth in their classroom, and we need schools to develop programming like liaisons to make sure gay and straight children can coexist respectfully. And we also need parents to get more involved, right? Like, you were talking about that shame and that stigma. I think that differences is something that we all experience. And as long as we put our children's needs at the forefront, we will learn then how to nurture and care for our kids in a way that will ultimately come out for the best survival of our youth.
I agree.
Thank you for that. Okay, guys, I have one last question that I want all of you to answer. We're going to start with Raquel M first. So if you could go back in time to the time that Lucas, you found out Katie was pregnant and Lucas is about to be born in 9 months. What advice would you give yourself? You have 5 minutes to go back in time just to talk to yourself right after you find out that Katie's pregnant. What advice would you give yourself within that 5 minutes?
If I could go back to 20-year-old Raquel, 20 or 21? 20. Yeah, I was 20. I would say, baby girl, you have no idea the healing journey you're about to go through with this boy, but it's worth it. Stay on track. Follow your intuition. Follow the intuition that guides your soul and bones, and rise up and be the healer you were called to be.
That was good.
Yes, that was good. Rochelle, if you could go back in time to your first child, you finding out you were pregnant, what would you say to yourself in those 5 minutes?
Ooh, my first child.
Oh,
Jesus.
Oh, Jesus. Lord Jesus, what would I tell her? Oh, girl, I would tell her, buckle up, baby, because it's going to be a ride. It's going to be some bumps, and it's going to be some hills and some mountains. But it's okay. It's going to be a joyous ride, you know? And don't lose your faith. Don't lose who you are. Love yourself when people don't love you. Love yourself and put yourself first. That's what I tell them.
Ooh. Riri. Rashonda, what would you tell yourself going back in time? And Rashonda, have I asked you this? Did I ask you this last year? Rashonda?
She says she can't hear anything. It's silent on her end, she says.
Oh, okay. She hopefully she will get her to come back. Raquel T, if we can go back in time, we know the baby was planned, but if we can go back in time, and the advice that you would give yourself, what would that advice be? You know that Aspen is about to be born for sure. You guys just found out that that your partner at the time was pregnant. What would you tell yourself in that advice?
To be patient with myself. There's no expectation to being a mother, and also other people's actions and how they perceive you is not a direct reflection of yourself. I definitely know now that throughout this whole journey is that my daughter deserves a whole, healthy, happy mom. So even whatever that looks like after the relationship, whatever that looks like after people's opinions of me, I definitely know that like you just have to be patient with yourself. It's okay. Love on yourself a little bit more.
Yep.
Love on yourself.
Can you hear us now, Rishonda?
Yeah, I had to go out and come back in.
Okay. I had a whole nickname for you. I was calling you Riri and everything.
Other people call me that too.
You did. How about
Let me know. The moment is gone. Rashonda, if you could go back in time to the moment your son, your LGBTQ son, you found out you were pregnant, what would you say to yourself in those 5 minutes?
um, I would just tell myself to continue being open-minded, um, the person that I feel God created me to be, which is loving, caring, and understanding. Just to do things differently from the way I was treated when I was growing up. Um, that nothing was wrong with the person that I am, and just teach my children to just love unconditionally as well.
Awesome, guys. Oh, and that's how you end the show. All right, ladies, can you tell me, do you have anything coming up that you want anybody to know about, that you want to broadcast, that you want anybody to support? Rashonda, since we left off on you, we can start back on you. I know you're doing your modeling thing. You are doing, I'll always see you. I have this job, this job. I was like, oh, she is collecting the modeling jobs. I see you, Rashonda.
Thank you.
What you got coming up?
Well, I have a couple fashion shows coming up. I have some magazines that I'm interviewing with, and
Oh,
um, my biggest show is New York Fashion Week in September.
yeah.
So I'll be I'll be doing that. Thank y'all. And one thing that I really want to talk about is I'm big on empowering women. So I really love this whole show. The topic today and everything. Because of the way that I grew up. Not, I had my grandmother, but how I didn't have a lot of people, but I had her and I had God. So, that's really more than enough. But some little girls don't have anybody, some little boys don't have anybody.
Mhm.
And I wanted to start an organization, to help, children realize, that they can definitely, make it. And I just wish that, like I said, some of the kids that, like, for an example, that my son is friends with, don't have anybody, you know, in their corner. And I just want to do something for children. And I'm going to be kind of like mentoring a little bit and teaching 2 workshops. Actually, it's related to modeling, but I'm going to teach other things and just really talk to the kids and get to know them. And hopefully, if there's not somebody in their life that, talks to them, I'll be the one that does. So that's what I'll be doing.
That's
Beautiful.
awesome. How can people support you, Shonda?
Thank you.
How can we support, or how can any of our viewers support?
I don't know what happened. The sound keeps going down on my end, so I didn't hear you, but I heard what you just said. Well, I have 2 Instagram pages, but one is more for modeling and one is more of a personal one. But if you find me on Facebook, I I'm very vocal on Facebook. I speak out about a lot of topics and stuff. I talk about my son all the time, and I'm a part of a group that's we talk about the things like what we're talking about now. So if you find me, Rashonda Parker, on Facebook, just send me a friend request, and we can stay connected that way.
Awesome, awesome. Rochelle.
Um, so
Okay,
kind
okay.
of got back on. I just kind of got back on social media. I've been gone for like the last year and a half, just on my sobriety. But I have started. I will start being a tantra coach. And so I'm in the process of that, natural healer. So I'll be starting a new Instagram and Facebook on that and start talking about those topics of healing and like trauma healing through different modalities and things like that. And so you guys can watch out for that. Also, too, I'm going to start a new Instagram page for like hiking because that's my thing. So I'll be starting that in the next couple of weeks. So you guys can follow me there. So yeah, just kind of got a couple of things coming in the works. So we'll stay in tune.
Awesome. Raquel T.
Okay, so I like to put my hands in a lot of different things, but my most current thing right now is my podcast. I have a podcast called Miss Mouthy Podcast. It comes out every Monday with it's called Mouthy Mondays, and so what I definitely talk about is highlighting the narratives and experiences of trans women here in the city of Detroit, and that is one thing that I'm starting on, and I do research with the University of Michigan, and what we're doing is developing a program actually to help women from trauma here in the city of Detroit. So that is called the Love Her Collective. And so you can follow me on Facebook. My name is Raquel Trammell. And on Instagram, I'm the real Raquel, and I am Miss Mouthy. So check it out, support. And I actually really want to do something in the future with something called Mouthy Meals, where I go and I create meals for LGBT communities to be able to do that. So if you feel it in your heart to donate, please cash at me at Miss Mouthy podcast, and that will go to that event. So
awesome.
Awesome.
Is it my turn now?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Hey. Well, we have nothing going on, like no big events or big projects going on, but we do have a blog site. So if you want to follow us and read our blogs, we are at thetriadfam.com, and then same handle on Insta, Facebook, the Triad.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I really enjoyed you. I felt like I found 4 new moms that I can just call on. So just thank you so much for all of this. And again, happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy Mother's Day, ladies.
Happy Mother's Day.
You all too.
Awesome, guys. Thank you for watching Outspoken for episode 12. Make sure you join us next Thursday where we interview individuals surviving divorce as an LGBTQ individual. It wasn't that long ago where it was legal to get married, but who told us how to handle divorce as LGBTQ people? So we'll be joined by individuals who've gone through divorce, both male and female, gay and lesbian, next week. So make sure you tune in for that. I'm really excited. Also, the week after that, we're doing another cooking segment. So make sure you tune in for that. Last month, we did one and it went totally amazing. We made those garlic lamb chops that I now make on a regular basis. So I'm hoping to do it again. So make sure you continue to watch Outspoken, guys. And again, thank you for viewing, and to remember to always speak your truth and to stay outspoken. Have a good night.